Thank you, Chair. My name's Duane. I'm a very grateful recovered addict. I feel blessed to be sitting in a Cocaine Anonymous tonight, and welcome back. When we come here and we see broken individuals come back, man, it reminds me of what I must have looked like, Many times I came in and sat my ass in a meeting and nodded and said I was alright, and then quite often on the way home I thought it come into my head that maybe I could just go and have one crack pipe or one pint and that'd be it. I'd be off and running again for another 2 or 3 months, and I thank God that I kept making it back, because I suffer from a deadly disease that wants me on my own, isolated and dead, and so yeah, I feel very blessed that I was able to keep making it back to these rooms until finally, I accepted the 12 steps as outlined in the big book, and got busy, but I had to be severely broken and busted and twisted up, and before that happened, and the big book says about sharing in a general way what it was like, what happened, what it's like now, and so really my life only started 11 months ago, coming up for 11 months ago. Before that was kind of before recovery, and before recovery was, I look back on it now and think what a twisted up human being I was. I introduce myself as recovered. It says in the big book about recovered from the hopeless state of mind and body, and when 11 months ago my body was pretty mangled, but up until that point I was kind of alright physically, but mentally I can look back now and think, wow, I was a mess from a really young age, really. I took my first proper drink at 13, and I remember that bottle of Ouzo like it was yesterday, and I stole it from my nan's. I was already, by that time I was already being dishonest. I was already stealing from my nan's purse and my mum's purse and my stepdad's work trousers and stuff, and I stole a bottle of Ouzo from my nan's, and I drank that after wagging school, and I shared it with another lad, and I say shared, but I drank 3/4 and he drank 1/4, and I was asleep in a park and I got picked up, and it made me really ill, and but I know I was going to do it again, and from that point on, I believe this. It talks about the mental obsession and the physical allergy. I believe as soon as I drank that bottle of Ouzo, I believe I carried on drinking even though I was being violently sick, because the allergy had kicked off in me. Once I start, I cannot stop, and the mental obsession, which continued after that, meant I would go around school, and it was, little gang of mates, and like, can you get a couple of quid for the weekend, and for Friday we'd sit in parks and do what most other teenagers and stuff do, but when I look back over my life, I continued to do that through school, and it was all fun, I smoked cannabis from 13 to the age of 25, and I drank all through school, and I got to 16, and my only ambition was to leave school and get a job and play football and drink in the bars of my local council estate like my uncles did, and so at 16 I left school and I achieved it. I got a little job in a warehouse, and I started drinking in the bars, the same bars as my uncles drank, and it was good fun, and I thought what I did when I had a drink was very normal, to wake up in my bed in my own piss every time that I drank, in blackout, getting picked up off the floor, and half asleep in my house, and legs out the front door, and putting my head through the front window and kicking off my mum, and I thought it was all kind of pretty normal, and that continued all the way through, for another 20 years. I'd done the same things. Every time I drank, I wet the bed, I blacked out. you know. And yeah, so at 16 I was standing in the pubs of my local estate, and you know, somebody introduced me to cocaine, and I tried it, and it was great, because what it did, it allowed me to drink for another couple of hours, you know. And I could power drink, and called it power drinking, and I realised today that, you know, once I put a drink in me, it kicks that allergy off, and you know, there's not enough alcohol in that boozer, and I get halfway down the first one, and I'm thinking about the second one, and I'm getting thirstier and thirstier, you know. And so you know, within 2 hours I'm in blackout. But like I say, I found cocaine, and that allowed me to drink for a couple of hours longer, and I loved it, you know. I loved having that bag in my pocket. And also around about the same time, I was the estate that I was on, there was a few guys that moved there from London, and they brought crack cocaine with them, and I tried that, and you know, for me that was to be like my class as, you know, my drug of choice, you know. Every weekend, you know, I would, you know, my weekend cycle never really changed from the age of 16 to the age of 33. It was work all week, you know, get to a Friday, go to the pub with the lads, fire a beer down my neck, buy a bag, phone a man, buy a bag of sniff, get to 10, 11 o'clock at night, you know, everybody else is going home, and my head's thinking crack, 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 and I'll go sit in a crack den, and I'll spend the rest of my wages, you know. And by Saturday morning, I'm kind of coming round and going, shit, I've just done 500 quid or 300 quid or whatever I earned that week, I'd done. And I'd say, I ain't never doing that again, do you know what I mean? And by the Monday, I'm still feeling a bit ropey. Tuesday, I'm feeling a bit better. Wednesday, I'm full of beans again. Thursday, I'm thinking the idea of trying it again. I was making a bit of a harsh deal out of it, you know. On Friday, I don't even really think of the consequences. You know, I'll go to that pub and I'll put a drink in me, and I'm off again. And so yeah, like I said, it never really changed what my cycle was up until the last couple of years. And you know, at 22, I met a girl, and you know, within 6 months she said, I think I want a baby. And I said, right, we're having a baby. And you know, a couple of weeks later she's pregnant, you know. And I think, great idea, I'm going to be a great dad, you know. I'm going to support this child and this family, it's going to sort me out. And it didn't, do you know what I mean? It didn't. You know, she went in, she had a really horrific pregnancy, you know. And you know, I'm drunk. You know, she could have got rushed into hospital any time in the last 8 weeks of her pregnancy and stuff, and I'm pretty much drunk every weekend, and a couple of times in the week, and I'm going smoking crack, and I'm sniffing gear, and I'm spending all our wages, and yeah, so I had a daughter, my eldest, and you know, getting on for 2 years later, got another little daughter, and I'm going to settle down for this little daughter. I'm going to do all the things that I should have done with the first one, and you know, I'm just getting worse. You know, I suffer from progressive disease, you know, and so all this responsibility that I'm getting with these children, my disease is progressing. I'm getting worse, you know. And so that woman lasted 6 years, you know, of me doing the same thing, not providing for my family, not being an emotional support, not being a dad, you know. For me, supporting her would be to take my kids out for the day on a Saturday and take them to the local working men's club, sit them in the corner with a bag of crisps and a can of Fanta, and say, you get on with that while I stood at the bar drinking Strongbow, and everybody telling me, oh, you're a great dad, you know. And I believed that lie. I thought, this is what good dads do, you know what I mean? They're with me. And so yeah, she stuck with me for 6 years, and I got home from work one day and she'd gone. She took the kids and she'd gone, and you know, I still continued to be a part of them children's lives. I was a weekend dad, and I still done the same things. I still picked them up on a Saturday morning, you know, most of the time, and I took them to the working men's club, and I let them run around, and you know, I stood there and got drunk and drunk drive around with him in the back of my van, and yeah, I did, you know, over this time I'd had many jobs. You know, none of them were really stuck out, although I'm pretty good at every single one of them. You know, as addicts, from what I've come to know, as addicts, we're pretty clever people. You know, and we're resourceful, and when we put our minds to something, we'll generally be pretty good at it. And I was just standing outside. I've had many jobs in many different trades. All of them I'm competent at, and every one of them I left because they wouldn't pay me enough money. And that's a massive lie, you know. Every one of them I got the sack from because I'm unreliable, I don't turn up, you know, and I steal. And that's what I do without a programme. So yeah, yeah, I've got 2 little kiddies. Without a woman in my life organising me, I'm an absolute train wreck. You know, I cannot manage basic things, you know, feeding myself for one. So yeah, I bounced from relationship to relationship, and at 30 years old, I met another woman who was to become my wife, and I met her. We'd gone to school together. We was old school friends, and I met her in a bar, and we hit it off. Went out a couple of times, and 2.5 years later, you know, we got married, and you know, I always share about powerlessness. You know, step one. You know, powerlessness and unmanageability, and I always share, you know, many instances of powerlessness. But my wedding night 2015, you know, I just got married to this woman, and you know, I truly believed that I loved that woman, and I just got married. I'm still in my wedding suit, and the obsession to go and use crack cocaine was on me, and so I sneakily took the card box with all the cards in it that our families had put, you know, money in there and cards in there, and I went and swiped this card box and took it back to the honeymoon suite, and I started opening these cards. You know, I'm filling up my pocket of this money, you know, I'm just throwing the cards on the floor. My new wife comes in, got a wedding dress on, and she see the look in my eyes before, she knows what's happening, because I've done it many times to her, and you know, she says, not today, you know, and I step over that woman, you know, she's laying on the floor in the honeymoon suite in a wedding dress, and I step over and I walk out of the hotel, and I get in my car after drinking for 12 hours, and I drive to a good old local crack den that I go and frequent regularly in my wedding suit, and I turn up and I order a load of crack, and I sit there till 7 in the morning, you know, and that's what I do, you know, the love of my children, the love of a woman, you know, no human power could stop me from using. And you know, in the run up to getting married, my new wife, my wife to be, kind of she'd noticed I was a weirdo. She'd noticed I spent money like it was going out of fashion. She was noticing that I was going out on a Friday and not coming home till Sunday, stinking of smoke. You know, the excuses that I was at the casino weren't washing. You know, she's like, you don't smoke in casinos now, so why do you smell like old stale smoke? And you know, I had to kind of come clean and say, you know, I've been using cocaine, but I couldn't be honest with her and say I've been using crack cocaine. You know, I said to her I've been using sniff. I said I'm going to go to, you know, try and get some help, and I was introduced to CA, and walked into CA, and you know, I just wanted to stop using crack. That was my thing, you know, and at this point I had kind of no conception that, you know, I'm an alcoholic. You know, I suffer with alcoholism, addiction, you know, whatever you want to call it, but you know, but because everybody else around me drank like I drank, I didn't think I had a problem. So for whatever reason, you know, I came into CA, and you know, I'm one of them. I didn't get it. I don't know whether I didn't want it. I know I wanted to stop smoking crack, but you know, for me, I can look back at the person I was when I walked through them doors, and I still had this woman that was going to be my wife. I still had my 2 kids in my life. I still had a job. I had a work van. I had a nice car. I had a beautiful flat. On the outside, life was just pucker. Do you know what I mean? It was just I had an amazing life, and you know, on the face of it, amazing years and years to come. And so yeah, when I walked through the door, I still had all this stuff, and a guy said to me, "What you put before your recovery, you were losing recovery," and I didn't quite understand what that meant, but I've come to realise what that means now, you know, because that came true for me in every aspect of how he meant it. And so yeah, I would have up until a few weeks back called myself like a chronic relapser, but I didn't ever really stop using. So I didn't really relapse that often because I just carried on using. I'd come to meetings, I'd say I was alright. You know, I was kind of here as a bit of a social thing, and you know, all you people were pretty cool, and you know, so I kept coming back. And slowly but surely over the next 2.5 years, you know, that scenario of what you put before your recovery, you lose your recovery, every little bit of it started coming true, you know. I'd lose a job, but I'd get another job, you know. I got married, it lasted 5 months before she kicked me out, and that was over. So the wife had gone, I was letting my kids down more and more, and their mum kept saying to me, "I'm not going to allow you to keep smashing them girls' self-worth," you know, because they were looking at themselves thinking, why don't Daddy love me, you know, what have I done? And so she'd started putting the kids away, you know, and I was getting into other relationships. I was, you know, when I'm single, I need somebody there, I need constant affirmation, I always have, you know, from being a child. I need to be liked, I need to be loved, because I feel so shut out myself. And so I'm on Tinder and I'm meeting up with women and I'm getting into relationships after one date, and I'm, you know, doing all this stuff, and basically I'm just causing carnage everywhere I go. Do you know what I mean? My family are going, "You're a weirdo, leave me alone, you know, don't come round my house, because every time you come round 20 quid goes missing out my purse." You know, and it's like, you know, I'm earning fucking good money, but my habit, my disease is progressing, and I'm having to use more and more to achieve the same high, and dishonesty is getting more and more, and so yeah, anyway, it come to a point, you know, 11 months ago, you know, well, if I go to like 13 months ago, I lost my final job. By this point I had no contact with my children. My family had all pulled away from me. I was living in a flat that I'd already been evicted from once, but they had to reinstate me. They put me on the wrong tenancy. I paid no rent in there for the 2.5 months I've been there. And I lost a job, and on the same day, a girl that I was, you know, trying to take hostage, but was kind of too clever, I realised that I was not the full ticket, and I weren't all I was saying I was. She went, "Don't bother ringing me again." And I got back to my flat, and I've been evicted, and I lost a job all in the same day, 2 days. And it was like, right, what do I do? And I've got this habit that I need to feed, so I start shoplifting and living in crack dens and stuff. And so that's what I did for 2 months, you know, and I ended up, you know, walking around Northampton town centre, stealing meat from M&S, you know, bags full of fillet steak and washing detergent, selling them in the pubs to the people that I used to drink with, you know, proper smashing that ego, and you know, I felt so worthless. And yeah, and what happened to me 11 months ago, I'm sitting in a flat. I had you know, by this time I'm sort of using 30 quid worth of crack a day. I've gone from using 600 quid worth of crack in a night to 30 quid worth a day, and as many strong lagers as I can drink just to try and knock me out, you know, as much money as I can steal. And all I can say is I had an out-of-body experience where I was able to look at myself and where I was at that point in time and just think, how the fuck did you get just there? Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I weighed 9 stone. Physically, I don't believe I had long left. Mentally, I was shot to bits. You know, paranoia. I'm walking around with a 12-inch dagger down my trousers, thinking that people are after me. Do you know what I mean? I'm just this little crackhead. Do you know what I mean? Shoplifting, nobody really wanted to know me. I had these delusions of grandeur that I had these fucking people after me, you know. So yeah, I had this out-of-body experience, and you know, through being in this beautiful fellowship before, I was on a WhatsApp group, and I just reached out, said, please help me, and you know, 2 beautiful men were at my door within an hour, and you know, they asked me, you had enough yet? And I was like, fuck yeah, please help me. And you know, they took me out, and you know, I believe that's when my God, you know, this program is about God. You know, it's about getting connected to God. You know, I know, you know, I have a deep belief in that my God kept me alive. You know, through all the scrapes and stuff. My God has always been there. My God started working in my life that day. And you know, one of the guys who'd been in a treatment centre in Rushden a couple of weeks before, doing a share, and he asked me about if I'd thought of treatment, and I'd looked at treatment a few times, and it's so expensive, and he made a phone call to this treatment centre, which was like a government funded place, you know, and I ended up there 6 days later, like miracle, out of bed, you know. This place is, you know, it's a 6 month treatment centre, and you know, beds come available few and far between, and I ended up there, and that's where things truly started happening for me. You know, I started working them 12 steps and nurturing my connection with God, you know, daily prayer and meditation, and trying to change the person that I'd become, you know, the person that I didn't want to be, you know, that dishonest, manipulative liar, you know, who's with this massive ego, and I started trying to work on myself, and I started for once doing what people were telling me to do, and so yeah, I got busy in treatment. You know, I walked through that treatment centre door, and I kind of knew it was going to be all right. You know, and for me, I felt like I needed separating from society so I could do this stuff, and yeah, I worked steps, and I found out a lot about myself. You know, I found out I'm really not the person that I thought I was. You know, that gobshite of a bloke chatting shit in the pubs in Northampton, you know what I mean? Thinking I'm the big I am. Really, I'm this scared, lost human being that only knew one way out of anything that I was thinking or feeling was to just correct that with a drink or a drug. And yeah, I worked steps, and I did step 4 and 5 in treatment, which I always describe as the most beautifully painful experience I've ever been through, you know, to put myself down and open myself up and write it down on paper and then share that with another man and God. Wow, I've become free from that day. I thought I was free before, but from that day something really, truly special happened within me, and yeah, I was able to keep walking through, and I got out of treatment about 5.5 months ago, and I knew it was important for myself to continue to get busy, you know. So it was all about getting around meetings, and the big book tells me, you know, alcoholics are the hopeless variety, which I would class myself as, you know, because left on my own devices without a program, I drink and use. You know, my 20 years of experience tells me that. You know, and it outlines it in the big book, clear as day. You know, if I want to stay sober, I have to work with other alkies and addicts. And so I got out of treatment, and came to meetings, and I just sat sharing a message of hope, and guys come, you know, guys approach me and ask me, and you know, people don't always stick around, you know. I didn't stick around. People come and people go, and I had a few guys come back all within the same 2 weeks, you know, a couple of weeks back, and all 3 of them gone back out again, you know. But it's their journey, you know. I have to allow people to have their experience, and so yeah, I got busy, and all of those, you know, them people that had all pulled away from me, the people, you know, my family and my children that had been pulled away from me for their own good, they started coming back. Do you know what I mean? I sat last night in a mini-Alateen meeting with my two daughters, you know, 11 and 9, and her mum's in an Al-Anon meeting next door, and you know, as a little foursome, we're all in recovery. You know, my children have got little gods in their life, and you know, my 8-year-old daughter, well, she's 9 now, when she first went to mini-Alateen, I said to her, how did you find the meeting, darling? She went, yes, Dad, I realise I'm powerless over your actions. You know, so and they seem to love it, and that family that, you know, had kind of dropped me because they needed to. You know, they're back in my life. My mum let me stay at her house last weekend with nobody else there. Do you know what I mean? And my mum used to follow me around her house with her handbag in her hand. Do you know what I mean? And she used to follow me around because she knew I'd be up to something. Today, you know, she gave me the keys to her house last weekend, and I stayed there overnight. And yeah, I have a beautiful life today. I'm employed, you know, I'm privileged enough to work with my sponsor. You know, one of them men that came to my house that day 11 months ago and rescued me is my sponsor. He's given me a job, and you know, I'll get to work with him every day, and I'm blessed to have kind of recovery on tap, and a friend that's, you know, safe to be around, and I feel very peaceful today. You know, I feel very peaceful, and I'm slowly but surely building things up. I have a beautiful relationship today, you know, a beautiful relationship based on honesty. Because one thing I realised I could never be is honest. You know, even when I thought I was being honest, I was being dishonest. It's like, it's mental health, this disease, it's, you know, changes you, it turns you into something that you're really not. And yeah, I have a lovely relationship today based on something, you know, and it's a relationship that I've kind of never experienced before, because I suppose because I've never been clean and sober before. So yeah, you know, what would my message be? If you made it here, you know, you clearly got a problem, because, you know, I didn't come here because I thought it'd be good fun to be sitting in a Cocaine Anonymous meeting on a Wednesday night. You know, I had a problem, and you know, this is only half the solution. You know, sitting in meetings will not. If you're an alcoholic of my type, keep you clean. You know, you have to work the steps, you know, which is the 12 steps. You know, you do those two things and you will get what I've got, which is internal peace of mind. You know, I'm happy with the person that I am today. I fall short very often, but that's okay. And you know, those material things that are quite nice to have in our lives, you know, we start to build them back up. And it's all through coming here, doing this stuff. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you.